Mention Ymir here as well, right? And we did talk about him a little bit, but the Ymir composition that they ran here, the boys of Envy, did it really work out with the Ymir? Because listen to the comms of SoaR sat in the audience there, all they were doing is like, kill Ymir, kill Ymir, kill Ymir.
I was really surprised that the Ymir came in after an Erlang Shen, just because Ymir already struggles against compositions that can kill him. I like the meditation pickup to keep him alive, but the main issue was just he had no one else that's going to be able to help him. Once he's caught out of position, he's just going to get chased down by those characters. He's going to get chased down by Erlang Shen and Jigz. His whole job, it was Andinster setting up Snoopy. Like, Jigz wasn't even about that, right? No. He was just letting Andinster do it. He was just focusing on making sure PolarBearMike was locked down.
Well, it's all about adaptation here for Envy, and already in the first picks and bans, you can see they've banned away the Ao Kuang this time round, and they have first picked the Erlang Shen for themselves. Totally, where do you expect this one to go?
It's probably going to go, honestly, to the soul lane. CycloneSpin is known to play these aggressive styles. This is a good assassin/warrior mix, honestly, the way his kit is built in, and CycloneSpin really thrives off of the early aggression.
Do you want to be taking Ra away from them here if you're SoaR, just to make sure they don't have the composition that you just drafted yourselves?
I mean, it's also one of those things where SoaR might already have a counter to that Ra Erlang Shen. They've picked up the Bacchus, and they're going to actually just grab the Ra themselves, but it could have been interesting because I think Bacchus is a pretty good counter to Ra. You obviously have the anti-healing and also a really easy job to jump on him in the backline and really disrupt him. Once Intoxicate comes out, it's almost impossible to hit that Ra snipe.
And I was surprised in the first game as well. Obviously, the Chongo was picked up by Kiki. That I think it was a very good pick because it's one of the only ones that can probably escape the Moonlit with the Moonlit Waltz, the combo that you get from the Erlang Shen and the Ra.
But he wasn't the target. It was the target was PolarBearMike on the Ymir. Unfortunately, they elected to go for the Ymir over the Odin. They had that opportunity for the anti-heal going against the Ra and the Erlang early in the drafting phase. So now EnVyUs, they're going to have to worry about the Ra yet again. They could get some more sustain on their side if they choose to go for the Guan Yu. That would be a good aggressive all-in strategy.
Batz is back at it again. Played a lot so far during the land stages. Interesting success though. Not been the greatest overall. And a Cupid locked in as well.
You know, Cupid's very dynamic, obviously, has received some changes recently. Some players have been experimenting with them, but we really haven't seen a Cupid go off yet ever since the changes.
Ocean's might, though.
That's the thing. Oceans might be the guy to be able to go off here. And again, it's one of those things where, you know, you're just going to be able to drop that huge AoE cripple field, and that's really disrupting in a team fight. And if SoaR, for example, if Jigz jumps in and then you just cripple their backline, well, then Jigz is overextended and his team either have to burn Purification to close that gap or just let him die.
This could also be Erlang Cupid in the dual lane. That would be a very aggressive laning phase. We can see Oceans maybe find some kills early on to Jigz if they can lock him down.
Yeah, really, that pin, you're going to root cripple someone, guarantee setup for the Heart Bomb, and then after that, you can obviously chase him down with Turtle. There's a lot of CC and damage burst.
Not just that as well, but with the Erlang Shen going so aggressive, you're going to have those hearts to be able to heal him back up again to allow him to stay aggressive and not consume your passive anymore. Counterbans coming through though, Jingwei and Freya so far being taken out. The Freya ban is interesting to me here, Tolly. Why are they doing that? Are they expecting this Cupid mid?
So even though Oceans was basically behind the whole game, they could expect to see maybe some aggressive style. Maybe out of CycloneSpin would play Cupid in the solo lane. We haven't really seen that out of him in a long time, but EnVyUs, after losing that last game so heavily, they could try to go for some jank.
Again, this is scrim strats. I mean, clearly SoaR feel like that Cupid is not going into the duo lane. They've banned the Soul as well. I mean, Kiki can play the Soul, but it doesn't really make sense to ban the Freya. She really struggles in every lane, and duo lane is basically the lane that she struggles the least in.
Well, we'll find out where he's going to go as we get the last couple of picks coming through. Now, SoaR have the first option for themselves here. They still need a Hunter for themselves. Obviously, Jingwei and Rama banned. Where do you expect them to see them go here, Tully?
We could see, Izanami would be a really spicy pick here. Like you mentioned, they need the Hunter and the Soul Laner. Ra could technically play Soul Lane, but I don't expect Baskin to really deviate from his Warriors or Guardian strategy. It's going to be the Anhur. Metyankey did a decent job. I wouldn't say like he really did much. He was just existing, and he did a good job baiting that.
I mean, he didn't really need to do anything. His job was to make sure that the other dual lane, to make sure Oceans didn't get fed. It was just, let's play through our core, let's set up kills onto Kiki or PolarBearMike mostly.
And speaking of the core coming out of SoaR, between this Bacchus, Ra, and Thor, the 3v3 coming out of SoaR is just so much damage, especially with the belly flop Intoxicate, so much setup with the double tap, the Searing Pain, and the Celestial Beam. I don't expect SoaR to really lose these early 3v3 skirmishes.
A lot of pressure on Skeeledon then, because of that Fear No Evil can come into play to disrupt that a little bit.
I just thought of something. What if that's Cupid mid?
It could well be, and that's, I guess, with the Sol and the Freya being
Kiki could play Cupid mid.
Could be the
Totally.
Cupid
Where have you been?
I'm back, don't worry.
Okay, you seem to be missing in the first half of the desk, but
like, no, like we expected like some kind of jank coming out of EnVyUs, but it's going to be the Chronos, and this is probably going to be Chronos on the Oceans here, and Cupid's going to be mid.
Chronos on the Oceans.
Chronos is on the Oceans right now.
Tully is not back.
He's on the Oceans.
Confirmed. He is still away. He's busy forcing the issue. And there's, see this Ravana last pick. We haven't really seen Ravana a lot ever since the couple nerfs he received, but this is Baskin's god. We talk about him and how dominant his laning phase is. I think the best laner in Smite right now, and obviously debated best player in the world. And this Ravana just allows you to fight early and take advantage.
When you talk about fighting, you're going to see Cyclone on the Erlang Shen here by the looks of it, up against Baskin's Ravana as well. Khepri and Chronos will probably round out the duo lane here, so an extra sustain and an extra life for one of the members of Envy. Will it be enough? Let's ask the casters after an aggro.
You know, we heard you guys talking a lot about this Cupid mid and if it's going to happen. Now we see the Chronos come out. Oceans is very adept at it, but I got to bring something up. SoaR is a player or a person very close to this team and very close to the scene. A lot of the players know SoaR, and he's Mr. Cupid.
I think I saw SoaR actually tag Kiki out this game. He was like, yo, my time to shine. Cupid time, baby. But yeah, I mean, I like the Cupid pick overall in mid. I don't know about this composition necessarily, but overall, Cupid in mid makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
His clear isn't as great as, say, Neith or Chiron, the two hunters you see predominantly in mid, but Cupid, a lot like Neith, synergizes very well with high power builds. You see the scaling on Heart Bomb and Fields of Love, as well as the extra healing that you get from the scaling on your hearts is just like, it's insane. So going for this power build that you see, the Mage Hunter build that you see on Chiron, sometimes I think synergizes really, really well with Cupid, and so for that reason I think it makes sense in mid. Like I said, the clear not as great as you probably want it to be. How well is it going to work into this team comp? I don't really know, but I like the idea.
And one thing that I really like about the Cupid that works out either in the Hunter role or the mid role is the huge impact on the Gold Fury. Fields of Love is gigantic, and it will just either help confirm Gold Furies or deter the enemy from trying to do it themselves.
Most of the time you think of Fields of Love as the giant kill potential ultimate in lane, you know what I mean? But you're right, that's one of its advantages that people don't really talk about as much. It's huge area denial. You really can't get through it unless you pop a sprint. And you can see on SoaR right now, no sprints at least until level 12. So Kiki's going to be able to make a big impact with that ult.
Also, not for nothing, Jigz and Metyankey are going to be stuck in there like molasses. The cripple's going to be a big deal against this dual lane specifically.
As well as Andinster. You're not going to be able to hammer out without popping that purification. So we'll have to see how well Kiki's able to pilot this. If there's someone who can, I'm sure it's Kiki. It's not a mage or a traditional mage, so you know he's going to be good on it.
And we'll see our first instance of the Wrath. When the Europeans came to town in Group C, it was all over the place. Wrath on 1, 2, maybe even 3 players sometimes. North America played with it as well a little bit earlier on, but this is the first time we'll see it here this weekend. And it'll be CycloneSpin taking it into the solo lane.
I'm a fan. I like Cyclone just trying to get the advantage in this lane early on. I mean, we saw how much he struggled in the laning phase last game, and this Wrath's gonna allow him to be the kind of bully in the jungle if he's able to make sure he doesn't get poked out too much by Baskin. That's gonna be the big issue. But Cyclone on Erlang specifically, Erlang Shen kind of known right now. It used to be Ravana was the premier lane bully. Before that, it was Osiris. Now it's Erlang Shen. How well is he gonna be able to trade out with Baskin here in the solo lane? If he's able to do it well, it'll be worth this Wrath pickup.
A little bit of poke coming out from Kiki, but I gotta say, I like the pick of the Monkey onto Skeeledon this time around. Nice poke coming out of Oceans right there with the double stun. But I love the selection of the Hun Batz. You put Skeeledon on the Ratatasker, and all right, maybe he's not ready, land nerves, whatever you want to talk about, and he's just not there yet. So warm him up and bring out the Hun Batz.
Just some sort of setup, and I love the amount of beads burners you have on the side of Envy. You're gonna have the beads Fear No Evil, of course. Probably gonna have the beads Fields of Love as well. The stop time from Chronos, the abduct from PolarBearMike, the pin and or knockup from CycloneSpin. A lot of stuff is going to make that purification on the side of SoaR be on cooldown, and that's when gods like Cupid and like Hun Batz are at their most effective, whenever the enemy team doesn't have those defensive relics.
You know, you kind of mentioned Oceans in passing there by saying, you know, just mentioning the stop time, but Oceans on this Chronos. Oceans has been an impressive player, and in all honesty, I think this Chronos, for me personally, has been his most impressive god. He can really do a lot of work on this character, and I'm excited to see if Envy will be able to answer back with a win.
I'm excited to see Oceans this whole weekend. I mean, he was kind of this enigma almost. No one knew what he looked like, you know, what's he gonna play like, kind of not talked about as much as a lot of other hunters in North America, but Hunters in North America, for my money, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, it's the deepest position in Smite across both regions. Almost every North American hunter is so good, and for Oceans to come in his rookie split and perform the way he has really says a lot about his potential as a player moving forward, as well as what he can do for you right now. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do for Envy at this LAN.
Nice jump coming out of Metyankey. No rewind just yet of the Chronos, so Oceans has to play it careful.
But you're totally fine with trading out that Purification for Shell right now. PolarBearMike pops the defensive relic just to make sure that Metyankey can't all in the Chronos. But using that, getting that Purification down is going to be huge, because now I'm assuming we'll see Skeeledon make an early rotation over that left-hand lane. Fear No Evil is going to be very, very effective.
Oh, Metyankey on his deathbed. Jumping in is going to be the Bacchus, and that'll protect Metyankey for the moment. But Oceans, again, no rewind. Just a little belly flop will kill him. And that's why Jigz is chasing.
Jigz looking for it.
Nice
Perfect
grab.
abduct by PolarBearMike, just keeping his hunter alive as well. Oh, Fear No Evil way off the mark from Skeeledon. Anhur forced to use the beads because of the pin. Metyankey picks up the first blood in the dual lane side while this is happening on the right. Trades out for Metyankey, but Skilly way off the mark there.
And PolarBearMike up a creek without a paddle. Finds the dash, but there's two players here. Off the mark is going to be Snoopy. Not a lot of players being accurate today. And PolarBearMike's going to walk away because of it.
Shoutouts to Intoxicate, making that snipe harder to hit for Snoopy. PolarBearMike drunkenly stumbles south, whereas Snoopy predicts north, and he's able to get out there. Rough ultimate there from Skeeledon.
Yeah, you know,
not a whole lot to say about it.
On the analyst desk, they kind of talked about how the Bacchus would work when you intoxicate the Ra. Well, when you intoxicate the target, it's also tough to hit.
It makes your life a little bit more difficult. Skeeledon doesn't want to go aggressive onto this speed buff with no ultimate available, so instead Envy just going to take the safe route, clear out these mid camps, get the mid wave, and then pick up Batz' speed there. Really tough. Also, we got to give shoutouts again to PolarBearMike. We didn't mention it. We saw the abduct obviously saving Ocean's life, but the Rising Dawn, the damage reduction, putting it onto Oceans as he's running away makes him take a little bit less damage from those creeps and is able to save his life for now. Then eventually he runs out of mana. Oceans gets first blooded, but is able to trade it out.
Yeah, that was a good play that he's able to answer back. Chronos has that capacity because he'll be taking the damage, and the stop time will double tick and find the kill for him. In the mid lane here, Skeeledon, but let's take a look at that kill over there by Metyankey and Oceans in the left lane.
So obviously Oceans gets very low, but Metyankey's equally low, but hits 5, just gonna be looking to do it from a distance, and just the raw damage from the Desert's Fury. That's just accuracy, man. That's just pure accuracy. Oceans turns around, hits him with the stop time. Shout out to the minions for some extra help, but awesome play there by Met. Looking very comfortable on land.
And Oceans looking comfortable as well. Like you said, you know, unfortunately for Envy and their fans, Oceans was the first one to drop, but he got that stop time perfectly in place. So both hunters really on their game.
And PolarBearMike just didn't have enough mana to use that ultimate there. I don't know if he hit 5 or not, but whenever he was getting chased down, was completely out of mana, couldn't use that Scarab's Blessing onto himself. PolarBearMike's going to be a big part of how well Envy play this game.
Andy, I think I heard him take off.
Looking for Skeeledon, I think. Yeah,
and
there it is.
Land the perfect ultimate from Skeeledon this time around. Traded out that last one for a good one this time and saves his own life.
I love the idea there to use Fear No Evil instead of the Purification, not having to burn that very important defensive relic cooldown. Instead, using the Fear No Evil, trading out ult for 2 ults. Snoopy hits the snipe, but because of the lack of return damage from Andinster, whatever he dunks down, no kill picked up. That was a much better play there from Skilly, looking like he should here on LAN. I mean, a lot of talk about, you know, if he was the right fit for Envy. The beginning of the split was undeniably poor. Can't really give him any excuse for that, but has looked better and better as the split went on, and now here at LAN, I think a lot of people are really excited to see him show up and play. Early on, not what you wanted to see, but right there, looking comfortable.
For me, Skeeledon is a player that still needs to find his way, find his sort of, what's his thing, what's his play style, right? We can identify the junglers pretty easily, right? DJ plays defensively and Andy plays aggressively, and that's a gross oversimplification, but just going with that, Skeeledon, you can't really boil him down. And in one respect, well, that's kind of good because you're not predictable to the enemy team, but at the same time, if you don't know what your game plan is, how can you have a game plan at all?
Well, it's tough to game plan against Envy as a whole because they've got characters like Kiki, who doesn't play anything traditional, and then you've got PolarBearMike. Speaking of which, perfect CC chain. Jigz gets a great Intoxicate off. It's Snoopy hits 3 with the snipe. Cyclone very, very low, just trying to stay alive. Rafts out the spin from Andinster, but it's not going to be enough. Now Kiki has the dash, just playing it patient, trying to make sure he gets out. Awesome play. Oh, he catches the dash!
Wonderful play out of Andinster right there. Goes and reads the dash, lands in front, exactly where the Cupid's going to wind up, and finds, well, the stun, not the kill, just a flashy play there from the jungler.
But he also forces out the Fear No Evil from Skeeledon, as well as a Purification from him, so really 2 for 1, looking flashy and getting what you want to get there. But Snoopy and Jigz combining for a huge set of ultimates. Jigz gets CC chained perfectly, he knows he's going to die, drops the jug, intoxicates everyone, and Snoopy hits multiple people with that snipe. What looked like a perfect engagement for enemy turns on its head right away because of those plays.
And for what it's worth, we also did see the good side of the Cupid, right? The ultimate comes down, and Jigz, despite his great intoxicate, winds up dying because he can't jump out of there. He's physically crippled.
And that's thanks to the abduct from PolarBearMike. Just, you sit there for so long, silenced, nothing you can do, and like you mentioned, the perfect field of love, just going to make sure that Jigz can't jump away as soon as he gets out of there.
The problem is, if you're too close to the Bacchus, that's not good either. Long-range root's going to miss, but Skeeledon gets stunned and double-tapped from Andinster. And right now, early on, 8 minutes in, it's 3-2. SoaR still with the lead as far as the kills are concerned, but pretty much a tie game here very early.
Both teams have the sustain. You see Kiki trying to help out his jungler, and I love this Gold Fury call. No one from SoaR is anywhere close. Everyone went over to kill those gremlins on the right-hand side, and this opens up the Gold Fury for Envy. Complete lapse of judgment there from SoaR, and Envy takes advantage.
Easy peasy, but how did Envy see it? The blue wards that they have are very deep in the jungle.
Just wanted to see, they saw some people going over there from the mid lane. They saw a couple heading over. You never know if they're going to start to come over towards the Gold Fury after they do those, or they'll recognize, hey, wait, we can't all be doing gremlins at the same time. But so they're just pulling it to make sure that they can try and see if it happens. Ooh. Great combination there from the snipe off the double tap, but not quite enough damage to kill PBM yet.
I like how you've picked up that European vernacular.
Gremlins.
Calling them gremlins.
I know. Demi was just so happy. I couldn't. Now, if I go back to calling them fire elementals, he'll be so sad.
I like gremlins better. It's easier to say.
It's not as descriptive, maybe. You know, fire elementals, everyone knows what you're talking about. But, you know, if you're sitting at home and what are gremlins, and then you see them doing the gremlins, and you're like, oh, yeah, they are kind of gremlins.
They're going to disappear pretty soon as we approach 10 minutes on the clock. And Skeeledon here in the middle lane. He's level 11, so he's actually got an experience lead on Andinster, despite Andy having pretty much a spectacular game. Also the gold lead.
300 gold. The Gold Fury helping out as well, but Skeeledon's looked very good. CycloneSpin just going aggressive, trying to get some health back. That's not really an engagement that they want to take. Cyclone's just using that ultimate as sustain in the lane. And
Andinster kind of stopped there by Skeeledon's own rotation. That could have been a bloodbath, but Skeeledon really stops that gank coming out from the jungler.
I like the pickup of Witchblade coming in early here for CycloneSpin. We've seen solo laners kind of go away from this Breastplate of Valor that we used to see them pick up every single game. Instead of electing for some counter build options, this Witchblade going to slow down the attack speed of Ravana and Andinster.
And Andinster's not going to slow down just yet. Landing right underneath the tower. Zerka's Barrage after the stun is going to get silenced, but Baskin gets the kill.
Used the Wrath there, but it just wasn't early enough. Going to be able to fall. Once he used that ultimate, he knows that Andinster knows that he's going to be able to spin uninterrupted, basically, unless he uses that Wrath. A knock-up immune in the Berserker's Barrage means that that's basically a free kill. Him and Baskin working together as well as they always do.
Yep, just working out really well here. Andinster still, like we said, he's trailing the monkey technically, but Andy's certainly having a much better early game than Skeeledon. How does Skeeledon translate into the mid and late game, however? That's really what I'm looking for, because this combination, not only the beads burners, like you said, many options for Envy, and here's going to be Skeely's first attempt at a gank, and he successfully chases the purification out of Thor.
Very quick purification there from Andy. His hammer was already in midair, so he had to pop that relic right away and still smash the one so that he could teleport to it. And I like the aggressiveness coming out of Skeeledon. So you asked how he's going to translate to the mid game here, and I think this mid-game team comp as a whole for Envy is excellent.
Yep.
Cupid best in the mid-game. Chronos going to be starting to come online with that farm that he's getting over in the duo lane. Skeeledon going to be able to make an impact as well. PolarBearMike, if he can get a res, can turn the whole sort of situation of the team fight, and if CycloneSpin can rotate in and make an impact with those pins into heart bombs, into, you know, what time stops or time rifts for motions, the team fight here for Envy in the mid game is excellent. However, they just can't get wombo comboed like we saw them get by the fire elementals or gremlins earlier on in the game. If they get multi-man intoxicated, multi-man sniped, it's going to be really difficult to win a team fight no matter how well your team comp works together.
Did you just intentionally steer away from the pun there?
No, did I miss one?
You said they were going to turn the, and I thought you were going to say turn the tides, but Oceans is on the team. I thought you were intentionally avoiding that.
Darn, dude. I missed one.
Oh, no.
I never miss puns.
I just gave you fodder, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm writing it down on my notebook right now.
No. He actually is right now. He's physically writing it down.
Turn the tide.
SoaR, on the other hand, you want to write down where EnVyUs are rotating here on the left side. Gold Fury's not up just yet, but EnVyUs certainly, well, they're willing to fight. I don't know if that's the right call just yet. I think they need a little bit more farm on those mid-game monsters that we were talking about before they can really take the fight all into SoaR.
Well, Skeeledon's just looking to go for Andinster because he knows the purification is down. Andinster's looking for the duo lane, however. PolarBearMike immediately forced to res himself, but gets sniped out by Snoopy. Jigz gets the last hit. That's what you do against Khepri. He's really annoying to deal against, but you just kill him instead. Here comes Kiki, throwing down the Fields of Love, but the shell is good. Snoopy takes no damage.
And there was a beautiful Sanctuary as well from Snoopy. Just zero impact from the Cupid right there. Zergo's on top of Oceans. Both relics are burned, and here comes Skeeledon. Gonna send everybody in different directions. Safe lifeguard play coming out of the jungle.
But Baskin is here, chasing down Kiki. Cyclone's still trying to make the rotation in. The rest of SoaR diving deep into between this tier 1 and tier 2 tower. Cyclone's here, but it's way too late. Nothing he can do to stop this push. I'm
seeing this same thing over and over again from SoaR and EnVy, where SoaR are grouped up as 5 and EnVy are straggling. They're 3 players strong, they're 4 players strong, and it's not always CycloneSpin, it's other players as well. EnVy just aren't grouping to answer to SoaR.
SoaR's one of the best teams at grouping up and picking the 5v5 fights when it's advantageous to them. Baskin using that teleport to get in at the perfect time. They get the tier 1 tower instead of going for this Gold Fury, so they have to be careful that EnVy doesn't just pull this in return.
SoaR's gonna cut and try and stop the fight. Let's listen into them, thanks to Steel Series.
They leashed it.
That's good, that's really good.
I need to get right really quick. I have no one after this midway. Let me get the right one.
Nice. I almost have my ult again.
I frostbound now. Sorry, I had to kill it.
I'm backing on the sentry.
They're gonna go for this.
They sentry right here. I'm backing on the sentry. Be careful. I'm backing. I back.
Gonna put a normal for now. They're going to gold. Yeah, they're all there. I don't have back. They're pulling it.
I'm not there.
I'm ulting in their face just to scare them. They reset. Yeah, that's fine. Nice. That's fine. Let's back up. I need to get back up. Let's back up. I need a backup. They're gonna pull it. I can't fight. Okay, they're gonna pull it.
What do you have TP?
They're going in now. Right. He just TP'd over that fight. I think we just give it up then.
No, I'm back with him.
They're hogging. Get up. They keep it ulted. Alright. Might be able to. They hog. No. If it's gone, just.
Do we fight mid or something? No.
I think we. Whatever.
Erlang just back.
They had no Chronos actives there or Cupid Aegis. They're speed.
So SoaR right there, honestly, I want to talk more about EnVy blowing everything on that Gold Fury that nobody was near.
I mean, they really wanted that Gold Fury, Tom. They really wanted that Gold Fury. Wrath, Fields of Love, Fear No Evil. They're not sparing any expense to secure that Gold Fury. And as long as they can avoid fighting for the next minute or so, it'll be worth it. It's just a matter of if SoaR is going to be able to really push into their faces and force a fight, knowing those ultimates are down. But you heard the comms there. They knew that the Cupid ult was used, but I don't know if they know that Skeeledon used his ult as well.
Yeah, I don't know if SoaR got all the information, but you saw SoaR did try to capitalize and successfully did the speed buff invade. And now PolarBearMike gonna get attacked just a little bit. Cyclone gonna stick around just for a hair extra. And SoaR's jungle solo combo gonna come up empty.
Right now, EnVy's in a really good spot, has a very slight gold lead, about 200 gold for all intents and purposes. This game is even, experience across the board. It's basically only Baskin who has the lead in the solo lane, only by a level as well. So EnVy's sitting in a great spot right now. You see Cupid gets that Ichabod online. So Kiki not going for the power build, which I really would have preferred to see out of him. Cupid does just not going, he has a Transcendence, yes, which gives him a lot of power and mana sustain, but I think a Brawler's here would have been excellent. Gives you that power, gives you that penetration on your abilities. It's just a great item. You see people pick it up whenever there isn't any healing on the opposite side, but there is healing in the form of Snoopy. I think it would have synergized great with Cupid's scaling, as well as the passive would have worked out well for Kiki.
Yeah, the idea behind the Ichabod is just to build up those basic attack passives a little bit quicker, but I definitely got to agree, and I think we'll see him build into more of the power and penetration as the game continues. Mid lane, there's the ultimate and a Skeeledon. Sanctuary going to save Snoopy's life, but here's the return fight, and he comes right on in. but that's all he'll get.
Envy got what they wanted. They got both relics out from Snoopy. No Purification, no Sanctuary, doing a much better job of being up in the healer's face this game. That's what you do up against Ra. You get in tight on him, and you make it so he can't breathe, so he can't heal comfortably, can't snipe you from a distance, and Skeeledon in particular is doing a great job of doing that this game.
Mid lane is where a lot of the action is focused here. It's funny because I feel like that's the default meta, and very rarely do we actually get to witness it.
This time we're definitely seeing it. SoaR just fighting over these mid camps. Here comes the Fields of Love. Looks like they want to go aggressive onto Jigz. Anhur's up in the sky though. They took no damage from that. A shell from Jigz stopped the damage entirely. Skeeledon's the focus right now and gets sniped out by Snoopy.
And just a beautiful combination of abilities. Snoopy's in trouble, however. Oceans makes the rotation, and he's trying to body block, and is going to force the ultimate out of the Chronos. Safe and sound. Metyankey's a different story. Ultimate, there's the Desert Fury. Not going to be enough, but the follow-up damage. Metyankey escapes out stage right, and Andy punishes Oceans.
And now Kiki 1 HP. The rest of SoaR just waiting to kill him while that Scarab's blessings on him. Andinster picks up the double kill. Perfect peel for the Hunter, and the rest of SoaR comes in to clean up. What excellent team play coming out of SoaR.
Andinster is on fire. The questions of whether or not this player would be able to stand up at land, the questions about this player being in a slump, I think they're gone, man. I mean, he plays two different gods, and sure, the game is far from over, but he plays Kwang and then Thor, two very different gods in my opinion, and he's just succeeding. Snoopy 2-0-2, you also have to lend that to Andinster. A lot of those kills have been set up by the stuns.
He's looked phenomenal both games. I mean, he really just put the team on his back in game one as Kwang. Not to take anything away from the whole of SoaR, but that was really the Andinster show in game one. And here again, like you mentioned, 3-0-4, sitting second on the damage charts, just underneath Baskin on that Ravana. He's looked phenomenal. He's looked just, I don't know if I want to go as far as saying he looked as good as Adapting did last weekend, but if he keeps up this level of performance, I don't think you can really differentiate the two.
There's a lot of Smite to be played. We'll see. This, of course, is our first match on Friday. We go all the way through Sunday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with 4 sets each, 2 games in there. So it's a whole bunch of Smite for Andy to I don't know if prove himself is the right term. He's one of the bigger veterans on the scene. I don't think Andy's got to prove nothing to nobody. He's just got to continue doing what he does.
And then SoaR's okay with that, and I'm sure Andy's okay with, you know, it doesn't matter if he does well as long as the team's winning. I'm sure that's all they care about. Talking to the rest of SoaR, they're all so focused on proving that they are one of the top cards in North America and making it to Super Regionals. You could hear it when you talk to every single one of them. They're really focused on the objective here, which is going to Super Regionals.
Yeah, because when we saw them at DreamHack, I mean, they did all right until the end where they got trounced by Energy. 0-3. SoaR was unable to win a game there, and that was supposed to be their big statement.
Well, that was still early in their team's development, and they've made some changes since then, picking up Andinster and Snoopy.
Very
so we'll
big changes.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they're able to do it. Right now, looking at the Gold Fury, willing to trade on any sort of poke. Yes, both teams have sustain, but the sustain from Ra is much, much stronger than that of Cupid.
And SoaR does have the gold advantage, 2,000 to speak of.
Skeeledon going in the middle lane, looking for Snoopy, but not quite enough damage. Metyankey throwing in Desert Fury. Oceans is kind of cut off from the rest of the team here.
Jigz is going to get stuck out, and there's a revive from PolarBearMike. You know, I'm shaking my head here. 2 very curious ultimate usages. Both Skeeledon and the Cupid just did not have the impact they wanted.
Snoopy just able to immune both with the same relic there. You don't make him use both. You only force him to use one, basically. And that's a problem because, like you mentioned, those are 2 huge team fight ultimates used to try and pick off the mid laner that's going to be able to heal up. I mean, even the poke that you did is completely insignificant.
And right now, see, this is why SoaR's going to have the aggression here in the jungle. SoaR's able to push up strictly off of the usage of the ultimate. They know that there's no threat of being caught in the jungle in these corridors because that's where Kiki's going to be so devastating. PolarBearMike doesn't have the resurrection, which is why he's just toasted. And he takes to the sky, looking for one, trying to choose his target. But a nice jump.
Skeeledon just going to hop over the wall there, giving up the red buff for now. Envy probably going to have to give up the Gold Fury as well. Like you mentioned, those 2 ultimates still down right now. A little bit of CDR on the side of Skeeledon, so his may be coming up sooner rather than later, though.
SoaR still they understand that they can play the aggressive gambit, so they'll start with the Gold Fury, but if Envy get a little bit too close, don't be surprised to see SoaR peel, even if the Gold Fury is extremely low.
Kiki taking a ton of damage. Cyclone going in, just trying to keep Kiki alive. Skeeledon has the ultimate. There it is. 4-man Fear No
That's
Evil.
a hot one.
Snoopy is falling very low, still trying to juke out. Skilly's not going to be able to find him. Metyankey picks up Oceans in the background.
How?
Andinster picks up Skilly, and now Kiki's forced to run away.
That was a beautiful play by EnVyUs, and they're the team that winds up losing 2 players and the Gold Fury right in the face of SoaR.
The kiting ability from Snoopy is just so strong on Raw. The extra movement speed coming out of the passive. Now Cyclone gets caught out in the middle lane. No reason to be here, solo laner. The ultimate from Khepri should save his life for now, but still forcing a cooldown that really didn't need to be used.
Yes, SoaR just playing fantastically right now, able to take EnVyUs out. Even when Envy has the upper hand in the team fight, that will result in not only 9 extra kills, SoaR's leading 11-2, but also about 5,000 gold.
Well, PolarBearMike was still dead. It was an uneven fight in SoaR's favor, and Skeeledon does a great job going in, getting 4 with the Fear No Evil, but it's just him. I mean, Oceans is getting killed by Metyankey, Kiki's being forced to run away by Jigz, and so it's only him up against Snoopy and his help. Snoopy and the gangsters, basically, just peeling for him, and like I mentioned, the kite ability from Raw is excellent. No, he doesn't have any movement speed abilities, but you see right there, that blind is so good. It's such a strong slow near you, and you blind the opposition as well as it gives you extra movement speed, as do all of his abilities. It's just so easy to kite as Raw, and you see it used perfectly there, able to stay alive.
I mean, he's got the movement speed there. Don't forget the rod of Asclepius as well. Gonna give him some zoom ability.
Very good point, as well as just the strong heals coming out of Solar Blessing. I mean, he can juke around in that circle for what feels like an eternity, so if you don't insta-kill him, especially on a character like Batz, that once you use your ability and then auto-attack, that's kind of your burst. I mean, maybe you get lucky and get a big hit, but overall, it's going to be tough. Skeeledon now in a really tough spot, Intoxicate immune by the Scarab's Blessing. Snoopy was looking for the big play.
I like the try.
Snipe, I like it too.
That's going to be up in a matter of moments. He's got the Chronos pendant as well, so cooldown reduction being built on that Ra.
I like the build overall. The only thing Snoopy's lacking is penetration. Oh, by the way, Envy's doing the Fire Giant this whole time. They're just zoning out. It's 2 people, just Baskin and Met, doing the Fire Giant for free.
Wow. Now that was just beautiful zoning coming out from Envy. SoaR, even if they had an idea of who was doing the Fire Giant, they weren't able to go out and get it. Beautiful collapse play coming out of SoaR right here. They're gonna surround CycloneSpin. Tanky as ever. Level 19 on this Erlang Shen Sovereignty, the latest addition to his build. So SoaR won't find the kill, but they'll push Cyclone out of lane, and that'll give them a tier 1.
All 5 members here, Ocean, Skeeledon, both pushing down this left-hand side, is trying to trade out some gold. Envy knows they can't defend this tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. They're not even gonna try. Just get this tier 2 tower as fast as possible and back and try and defend a Phoenix. I like the split push call from Envy.
So that's going to be 1,500 to both teams right here, left side and right side for EnVyUs and SoaR respectively. And now SoaR, well, they're going to look for the extra step. Pushing the Phoenix, the ultimate comes out of mid lane Cupid. Deters SoaR for the moment, but Metyankey lets go of his ultimate.
I like the call there from him. Jigz now going aggressive, gets the flop onto 2. Skeeledon blinks onto the back line, using the Fear No Evil, but it doesn't do enough. Now Andinster is doing enough damage. The snipe from Snoopy is good. Kiki is very low.
And he takes to the sky and just smashes Kiki into the ground. PolarBearMike does not have the ultimate available any longer, and Andy makes use and gets the double kill.
Heal's gonna keep SoaR healthy for now. They get that Phoenix on the right-hand side. With 2 members down, the Titan may seem tempting, but the right call is exactly what SoaR is doing. Going towards the middle lane. Just too many structures still up for Envy to go for the Titan.
Yeah, we saw them clear the board before. I'm sure we'll see the same thing here. Tier 2 tower in the mid still stands. Tier 2 tower in the left still stands. But I might have spoken too soon. At Tier 2 in the mid. It's just a memory. 1,500 one more time in the coffers of SoaR.
And now SoaR not going to worry about that tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. Instead, looking at this middle Phoenix, Skeeledon just keeps getting abused by this wall double tap combination out of Andinster. He's always poked out, so he can't initiate.
And speaking of always, Snoopy is always dropping down the Solar Blessing so that even when whenever SoaR, always be clearing, always be doing something. That's totally his mantra. And right here, even when EnVyUs has to take a step back to wait for minions or something, they're healing up, SoaR rather. And this Ra pick has been so important to their team.
It was just a tough spot for Envy because after that last game, you couldn't give SoaR Ao Kuang again, and you couldn't give Ra back to Snoopy. You kind of had to give him one unless you were going to first pick the other one. Skeeledon has played Ao Kuang before, looks fairly comfortable on that god. I think that would have been the better option, just going for the Ao Kuang first pick, keeping it away from Andinster mostly, as well as banning away that Ra. Instead, they ban away the Ao Kuang, try and just deal with the healing from Ra, and they haven't been able to do so. 2-0 and 6. Snoopy's doing a perfect job of keeping himself alive with the help of his teammates and healing them up. Now he's got the penetration online to really round out this build, and it's going to be really tough for Envy to fight into him.
Bacchus is going to be building into the Witchblade as well, so the basic attack characters, 3, Erlang, Shen, Cupid, and Chronos, certainly going to suffer a little bit from that. Gold Fury half HP.
Baskin has the Runic Shield as well, so if Jigz is near any of them, they're going to have their attack speed reduced. Or if Baskin's near any of these backliners, their attack speed's going to be reduced. And you're going to have one at all times, basically. Baskin also going to be able to reduce the magical power coming out of Oceans and the negligible power coming out of PolarBearMike. But the Witchblade going to shut down the power from Skeeledon, from Kiki, and from CycloneSpin. A lot of times you don't want to stack these double aura items that reduce attack speed, but in this scenario, I really like the building coming out of SoaR.
Left side push coming out of SoaR one more time. This is exactly how we saw them end their last game. This time Fire Giants here. Blink in from Skeeledon. Nice jump from Metyankey, but clips the end of it. With that in mind, no damage. There was no outcome from that ultimate.
And no outcome from this one either. Kiki's off the mark. Now Andinster going up into the sky, looking for Skeeledon. He's instantly deleted, his 3rd death of the game. Everyone else from Envy just trying to run away, but Metyanky's not letting him. He picks up Kiki. They're gonna look at the Titan. They don't even need this Phoenix.
Yeah, one more time. SoaR just gonna rush the Titan. This time though, Envy want to play a little bit of defense. PolarBearMike and Chronos and CycloneSpin are here. And that's a bunch of return damage, Jagger. I don't think SoaR have this.
They've still got the heals from Snoopy. I don't think they have to worry too much. But Oceans is doing a lot of damage right now. Andinster immediately recognizes it, goes aggressive onto him. Baskin picks up PolarBearMike. Cyclone stuck in the middle of 5. Oceans doing his best, is able to pick up Andinster, but it doesn't matter. A deicide for SoaR. Took him 3 more minutes this time, but it's still a W. 2-0 for SoaR.
Just out of their minds, SoaR really came to play. You know, this is the team that we saw Eager really perform well on land, and they didn't really do that during the regular season online. But here, SoaR played well online. They're playing well on land. This is the team that is driven to victory.
I mean, the group of death looking fairly easy thus far for SoaR. Only 1 game in and up against Envy. But overall, I mean, you can see just how relaxed they are. Jigz just stretching out, man. He's having a grand old time, just doing Bacchus stuff.
I mean, that's Jigz. As well as anybody knows him, he's certainly comfortable, if nothing else. The guys from Envy are going to walk across and give the guys from SoaR a hug. But you got to be thinking, Envy, what are they thinking? They've got to switch something for their next games.
I don't know if that was so much Envy messing things up overall. I mean, we saw some ultimates off the mark. Maybe the calls weren't exactly what you wanted them to be, but really for me, that was just Andinster. Like, there's no answer for him if he's able to get on a roll like he was in both of these games. And I don't know if that was so much Envy not being, you know, at their best, or if it was Andy being at his best.
I think you might be onto something over there. Hey, Hindu, how do you feel? Was it all Andy, or was it a team play?
Not gonna lie, that kind of took me back to Orbit versus Sanguine all that time ago with 2 quick stomps, and that's kind of what it felt like to me. Guys, break it down for me.
It was really surprising to see the first set of the day be so quickly. Normally in Group C, B, and A, the first set is usually drawn out a little bit longer, so it just goes to show how impressive it is that SoaR takes the first set at such a dominant rate.
I think, again, it came down to not enough damage confirmation from the side of Envy. They had a lot of trouble getting to those backlines, especially the Raw. Once again, Snoopy, 2 games in a row, we're seeing him just skate out of team fights on less than 5% health, and they just weren't able to confirm those kills. Kiki went into a build which I almost thought was going to be just pure raw power, go for big heart bombs, but then switched it up into the built some attack speed items after that. But honestly, I'm just listening to comms. You know, I was sitting out in the arena, and SoaR's mouths are just, everything is so clean. Baskin is kind of leading it. He's not really making the decisive shot calls, but he is saying the state of the game. He's calling PolarBearMike over in dual lane that he has no physical protection or no magical protection. We should set up a gank on him, try and gank CycloneSpin. He's gone for the Witchblade and Wingblade. He's going to be really susceptible to that raw snipe. Calling out Hunbat's ultimate timers. I think a fight started at mid. Hunbat's ult was wasted. right before Gold Fury, only 10% CDR, he called it exactly. He knew exactly the timing of that Fear No Evil coming up. So Baskin just has all this information stored in his head, and he kind of gathers it from the game and how everything's going, and then just kind of presents it to the team, and they use that to decide what they want to do.
Well, if we take game 1, for example, and that was down to picks and bans to begin with, that it went the way of SoaR, game 2 was a different story. What was the biggest factor in that one, Toby?
I would say it was just Andinster's ability to snowball that whole game. We didn't see the same presence coming out of Skeeledon, I would say. The Batz Cupid didn't really work out for EnVyUs, whereas SoaR, they just always make things work. They find a way to synergize between their mid-jungle.
And yeah, this was just a very early gank. You can see just the pick-off. They were going for Jigz, and sure, Kiki got the kill, but they all lined up for that raw snipe and the double tap from Andinster as well. And then Andinster's obviously, I think this is where he catches him in the middle. Yeah, he catches Kiki's dash and hits Batz. Really quick beads as well, just reactionary to get out.
Been a long time though, boys, since we've actually seen Andinster step up this quickly, this soon in a tournament as well. Like coming straight into it, off the back, no messing around, straight to action. And really, for all intents and purposes, putting the team on his back. He's not done that because all the boys are performing, but he is standing out.
It just seems that this year is Andinster's year, as he's trying to get back into Worlds right now, winning it in the first year, almost making it past the champions in the second year. So this is a great start in the first day for SoaR.
And it's very confident too, considering they didn't ever feel pressure from EnVy in any way. EnVy, you know, snuck the first early Gold Fury. They got a second one as well, but they never really had a good gold lead, and they never had any momentum. They weren't really setting up kills or setting up plays. It was more EnVy reacting to what SoaR were doing, and so Andinster really didn't have any pressure that game. I will be interested to see him go and face off against Denial, face off against Enemy, and see if it's going to be that same kind of relaxing atmosphere, or if those teams are going to give him a little bit more to deal with.
Well, EnVy do have another matchup shortly, but we do get an interview right now with Andinster himself from SoaR alongside Aggro.
I'm joined here by Andinster. Andy, awesome first set.
Thank you.
Looked great. You and the team. How is your confidence level right now?
I'm feeling really confident. I think we're working really well as a team, and it's coming together right now, so it's good.
Talk to me about this composition that you guys ran. The Erlang support, the raw mid. I mean, a little bit of Eager-esque.
Yeah.
Did you take a look at what they were doing and said, we could do that?
Yeah, it was eager. It wasn't Eager-esque. It was complete copy pasta.
It worked out. I mean, Snoopy looking very comfortable. Talk to me about you two working together as he's moved into this mid lane. You know, a lot of talk about how you guys are very close as friends. Did that make that transition easier working with him?
Yeah, we work together really well. Like, we both, yeah, we just, whenever there's an issue, he'll tell me, I'll tell him, and it just works out really well.
So going from season 1 to now, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about your play specifically, but so far this lane, I mean, we're only 2 games in, but you had 2 great games. Does that kind of talk motivate you at all to try and prove that you can do whatever?
Yeah, it motivates me for sure, but it motivates me as like a team player. Like, before, I always wanted to just try to stand out and do my best, but now I'm working to play around the team the most, and even when I'm playing with the team, it makes me look better as well.
You certainly looked a lot better working with your team there. Congratulations on the start that you guys wanted. We'll be seeing more of SoaR later on this weekend, but up next, it's going to be EnVy with their first doubleheader of the weekend. We'll throw to a break, and we'll be coming right back with that set.